What is up, guys? It's your boy Breaking News Cacus, and today we are going to be discussing a brand new article that Bungie just released called Developer Insights Economy and Rewards Update, talking about some very important changes to the Destiny 2 economy as well as some brand new rewards coming next season. And so let's get started. Now, they say starting in Season 22, which remember is next season, which begins on August 22nd, we'll be making some changes to post-match rewards for ritual activities, so Strikes, Crucible, and Gambit. Through examination of player feedback, we know the cadence of drops for recently added weapons in these activities is sometimes inconsistent. We all want to play with the new toys when they are available, and that's what we are aiming for with these improvements. So starting next season, players will be more likely to receive ritual engrams upon completion of activities within ritual playlists. Secondly, rather than having to wait for the next season, new ritual weapons will be available to be focused on their respective vendors starting as soon as they're added into the game. We want players to have greater agency in the rewards that they are chasing and reassured that the time spent within these activities yields exciting rewards. Guys, that's actually a huge change because sometimes they add really banger weapons to the loot pool, but especially, if you don't really like Gambit that much, are you really going to go and try to get a random drop of the new Gambit weapon? No, you kind of gotta wait until the whole next season to focus it, and that just doesn't feel as good. So this is actually a very positive change. And they say, speaking about the new weapons coming next season, why not go over them? So, for the Crucible, we are getting the Unending Tempest, a brand new stasis submachine gun. For Strikes, we're getting the Luna Regolith 3, a brand new solar sniper rifle. For Gambit, we're getting the oh my goodness, that thing, and it's a brand new Void machine gun. Now moving on to the Nightfall weapons, this is where things get interesting because the first one is the Warden's Law kinetic hand cannon, and that is not new. But then the other one is the Holes 4 solar precision bow, and I believe that is new. So the Warden's Law, guys, is an extremely interesting weapon. It was introduced way back with the Forsaken DLC, and it actually has a unique intrinsic perk. It's the only hand cannon in the entire game that can get this, but it would shoot 2 bullets when you press the trigger. Now, these bullets were kind of back to back, so very quick. When you were just using it normally, it didn't really feel too different than other hand cannons. However, because it technically shot 2 bullets at once, stuff like rapid hit would ramp up way quicker. Stuff like 4th times the charm was a lot better with the Warden's Law, guys. And Bungie actually said in an update that they're going to go back and actually make this a proper new archetype, make this special Warden's Law double shot archetype a real thing, and that's actually really exciting for next season. Now, moving on from there, guys, for Iron Banner, we have the Guiding Sight, which is a brand new Strand Scout Rifle. This will be the second Strand Scout Rifle after the Taraxipus in the entire game, but then they're bringing back a returning one, the Point of the Stag Arc Bow. This was actually an old school kind of ritual weapon way back in the day. You can see it right here. It was, pretty decent, and sometimes I still see people whip this thing out. Now, moving on from there, for Trials of Osiris, we are getting the return of the king. The Igneous Hammer solar hand cannon is coming back. The most used weapon in the entire game for PvP for quite a while. This was a 120 rounds per minute hand cannon archetype, and it schlapped. Now, because of how hard it schlapped, Bungie actually had to nerf this archetype of hand cannon. So who knows if it'll still be good, but on top of that, we have the Cataphract GL3, a Strand heavy grenade launcher. Now moving on from there, let's talk about those economy changes. So importantly, guys, starting in Season 22, they're going to be tripling the caps for Ascendant Shards and Alloys and doubling the cap for Enhancement Prisms, guys. Here are the old and new caps. So this is kind of a big deal. because the original caps were ridiculously low, especially with Ascendant Shards. I mean, it costs 3 Ascendant Shards to fully masterwork an exotic armor piece. So with a full stack of 10, you could only upgrade 3 armor pieces and then you were basically completely out. And so people were having to store another stack of 10 in their postmasters, and if you got too many blues back when that was a thing, you'd lose them. It just sucked. And why was this done? Well, it seems like an attempt for Bungie to artificially increase playtime. If you let people grind, for example, a double rewards Nightfall where you could get like 4 Ascendant Shards from a single Nightfall, well, you're gonna get quite a lot, and that could last you multiple seasons, and we can't have that. We need to force players to go back and grind Nightfalls every single season so we can inflate that playtime statistic and look better to investors. How much was Bungie bought for again? Anyways, guys, this change does come with a massive downside. Bungie says a big reason we are making this change is to remove the risk of losing these materials in the postmaster, and as a result, they're removing the ability for these items to go to the postmaster. So if you thought you could have 30 in your inventory and then another 30 in your postmaster, that's not going to be the case. It is just 30 shared between your characters. And guys, that's a big deal because technically this cap increase with this change is not a cap increase. And that's because you could right now have 10 in your inventory and then 10 on each of your characters. So for me personally, I have 40 total Ascendant Shards stored within Destiny 2, and with this, quote unquote cap increase, I'm actually going down 10. So I have less Ascendant Shards available to me. Now, Bungie knows that this is going to be a complaint, so they say that it turns out less than 1% of players hold more than the new increased caps of these materials at their postmaster. In other words, 99% of the player base will benefit from having higher inventory caps. So that's fair enough. Like, it's going to negatively impact me, but if 99% of the player base is benefiting from this change, of course I'm in favor of making this change. However, again, this is the same people who had the cap artificially low to force you to play more, so I don't know if I can trust their statistics here. I mean, they say 99% of the player base. What does player base mean? Is it active players, or is it people who have ever made an account in Destiny, period? Does this metric include people who played for the first 2 months of vanilla Destiny 2 and never played again? Is Bungie including them to make it seem like less people are going to be affected by not being able to store these in the postmaster than are really going to be effective in terms of active players? I would love to know, Bungie. I would love for you to clarify what player base really means here in this metric. How many people who actively play are going to be affected by this change? But regardless, guys, if I lose 10 Ascendant Shards and whatever, I'll live. Like, honestly, I'll be fine. The annoying part about these caps is that at the end of the day, the hardcore players who they would affect, who this would negatively affect, they're the ones who can just go and get more Ascendant Shards incredibly easily. Like, it really isn't a big deal. I don't know why the new cap can't be 40, so that the hardcore players aren't losing anything, and, more casual players are still benefiting from a massive cap increase. Why can't it be 50, 60? This cap is just arbitrary in nature, and I don't understand why there even needs to be a cap per se in the first place, other than maybe technical limitations. Now, importantly, if you do have these resources in your postmaster, Bungie says that you won't lose them when the new season arrives. You have to actually claim them from your postmaster. So maybe we can get away with storing a little bit more for a little bit longer. Regardless, guys, not too sure about the cap changes. However, of course, again, if they affect the majority of players, I'm all for it. But that change aside, everything else I'm super positive about. I'm very excited for the new weapons. I am really excited for being able to focus the new ritual weapons right when they arrive. That's going to be awesome because I've frankly been ignoring them and I just forget about them when it's the entire next season, right? So that's awesome. That's it for the video. Hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content, content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.